Thank you. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and it's such a pleasure to be back here as the patron of this conference, and fantastic to think that we set the ball rolling just over a year ago, and that more people have come back today because you've realised the benefit of getting together. I just noticed, and I've had it pointed out, that I'm easily recognisable because in the photograph in the programme, I'm actually wearing the same dress. I do have other dresses, and of course, if I was the Queen, then I would have done that properly and made sure that I wasn't actually wearing the same thing. But really a very, very warm welcome to you all, and it's very important that we're here together, and I know that you're giving up precious and valuable time, so I'm really grateful. So I say it's the second NOAA conference, and we're really concerned with the same theme, and that is how can all the sectors work together to address poverty here in Bedfordshire. In my role, and all of you in your jobs, much more than me, we see the effect of poverty every day, and the effect that it has on lack of potential for people, and not realising the potential that all of us have if we're given a helping hand along the way. I think the main message that came out from last year when we met was we really recognised the need for collaboration. So in a time when resources are ever more stretched and demand is only increasing, it's really important that we get together and make sure that we use our skills and our resources and our personnel to make the best difference that we can in this area. And last year we had a little analysis of the local and the national picture regarding deprivation, and consideration of the nature of need that is facing us. And of course that has developed again this year as we see more migration, which looks as though it certainly won't be slowing down. And a lot more people probably who are at the more severely disadvantaged end in our community. So the subsequent discussions that took place during the breakout sessions last year made really clear, I think it was quite exciting after a sort of initial little bit of sort of making some relationships. It was quite clear that there was an appetite amongst people present that we should be entering into a clearer dialogue, a more focused dialogue, to find a remedy, an affordable remedy. And since then, I think it's very clear to see that there's been much more evidence of partnership working between the agencies and to some effect. So the No Second Night Out programme that was commissioned by the government to tackle rough sleeping proved to be a catalyst for bringing together the local authorities across the county to work closer and jointly with the voluntary sector. And I think there's been some success if we look at the figures there and the number of people who've been helped off the streets into accommodation. But amongst the challenges we face is how to sustain and build on this achievement rather than let the problem reappear through a lack of targeted investment. The need is not going to go away. As I've said, if anything, it's getting worse. We can see that every day in practically all parts of our country, and can be evidenced by a pretty scary increase in rough sleeping in the county in the past year. Now, there are figures that I think haven't been officially published, so forgive me if you don't quite agree with it, but some of the figures that I've seen show that there's probably been a 104% increase in Bedford from 25 to 51. In Luton, a 60% increase from 33 to 53, but a slight decrease in central beds from 18 to 10. And that may have more to do with perhaps the inaccuracy of the counting, not enough people to count sleepers, rough sleepers, maybe an inability to get around. But I think the message is clear. This problem is one that is going to be one that we're going to have to address for many years to come. And I think the question that we should be posing is that, are we investing the resources in the right way to address this problem, so that we really are making the most of our expertise? So today, this is just a real opportunity to consider how all of the organisations across all of the sectors in the county can muster your collective assets and resources, your people, finances, expertise, your experience, your compassion, in a strategy that will deliver real improvements that people will feel and see the people who are the poorest and most vulnerable amongst us. I'm really delighted that the conference has attracted some very high-profile speakers of national standing to address us today. Bill Rammell, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Bedfordshire, will be here shortly, and the university is kindly hosting our conference once again, and we're extremely grateful for that. Sir Stuart Etherington, the Chief Executive of the National Council of Voluntary Organisations, the Right Reverend Peter Doyle, Bishop of Northampton, whose diocese of course includes Bedfordshire, and our dear friend and great supporter of this part of the world, Lord Mackenzie of Luton, who works tirelessly and has done for many years for the betterment of this town and this county. And I know that you're going to be not only informed by what they have to say, but I hope you'll treat this as a day where you can be really stimulated and motivated to change. You'll have the opportunity in the breakout sessions to discuss many issues. So please be open in these sessions, take risks, let's discover where we've got synergies, where we can really, really make the difference. Let's be open, let's be constructive. So, and the organisers intend, I think, after this conference to establish forums to translate these discussions into tangible actions. So the worst thing would be if this is just a talking shop. We really need to make this count. And what we decide today needs to translate into rapid, tangible action. And I very much appreciate your readiness to engage with that. Let's take courage from what we've achieved already since we met together about a year ago. So since the conference in October 2014, there has been notable evidence of partnership working between partners and sectors. I mentioned the No Second Night Out programme, commissioned by government to tackle rough sleeping, and that really, we have seen local councils working together with the voluntary sector. Luton Borough Council have involved the local voluntary sector in addressing the issue of street drinking, wisely using a combination of specialisms from street outreach to counselling to great effect, I understand. And the respective councils in the county have recently drafted their homelessness strategies, or they're just about in the process of doing so, and have drawn on the evidence gathered and experience gained through the NSNO project. And in their review of operations in Bedfordshire, East London Foundation Trust have indicated a readiness to consider how they might work more closely with the voluntary sector to effect optimum deployment of scarce resources, particularly with regard to prevention. The NHS Clinical Commissioning Group in Luton, being aware of the demand on services such as A&E, of people who are homeless, are entering into dialogue again with the voluntary sector about using their resources wisely and focusing on prevention. So these are just a few examples of some steps in the right direction. They should give us courage because they came out of the fact that we're talking more closely together. So the objective really of this conference is to facilitate more progress in that direction. And as a way of setting the context for the day, I'm going to introduce you in a moment to a gentleman who has experience of working in industry, the voluntary and public sectors, and has used their services. But before I do that, I really want to thank Jim O'Connor. Jim works, again, tirelessly. I don't think you ever have any holidays, Jim. You always seem to be there at the end of the telephone when I need you. And we're all incredibly grateful that your organisation has helped pull this together. So thank you very much indeed for your support. So to Tim Archbold then, Programme Manager of the Drugs and Alcohol Luton Borough Council. He leads a number of strategic projects for Luton Borough Council's Public Health Department, particularly concerning drug and alcohol dependency issues. And prior to coming to the council, Tim was employed by NOAA Enterprise, where he led a staff team of 50, supported by 200 volunteers, I think. And you're very successful in delivering and the continuing development of a range of services, including a daycare welfare centre, street outreach programmes, resettlement and reconnections, and a sizable catering operation. And I think you gained extensive management experience in the private sector prior to joining NOAA. And you have personally experienced periods of homelessness and addiction, but have turned your life round and in a fantastic way use this deep understanding and experience to help and benefit others. So enough of me. I just want to say to you all, enjoy the conference. Thank you so much for coming along with open minds and open hearts. Let's make this precious time really count together. Thank you again to NOAA and to the university for making this possible. Have a really good day. Thank you.